Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NLC. We finally hit the time to get the Aurora Cup, our winter season in action. My name is Alexandre Ashanomaya. I will be your host for the day, and I have the pleasure to be with a coach, a man of knowledge. It is Tom Kick back in the desk, and a duck.
Thank you. I mean, that was the nice introduction I would have expected. I mean, you've done some nice introductions for me down in the NLC. I'm very
Yes.
happy to be here. I mean, in all honesty, I thought the next time you and I would work together, Ashram, that would be when I was hiding on the caster desk and you were doing the hard work on the analyst desk. But I am here with you today. And honestly, I'm going to be honest, right? With all the memes aside, I'm actually very excited. I love working with you, Ashram. I'm super excited to get to work with you, Tom Kick, as well, because, I mean, I love Norway. You are Norwegian. It's a match made for heaven.
How you doing, Tom?
I am doing beautifully. It's gonna be a lovely day being here with the beautiful duck and the handsome Arsenal himself. Like I'm looking forward to a great day with some banger matchups.
I hope you guys back at home are feeling fine as well. It's going to be a lovely show for everybody. We not only have this stream, we have other streams where we're going to be covering all the groups. So be sure to check on them so you can follow the teams that you really love. We're going to be focusing today on Group D on this stream at NLC, but we'll talk about every single team in a few moments. Don't worry about this. What is Aurora Open? This is a way for every single team during winter season to participate and showcase what they're capable of. You can be from Division 1 from NLC, you can be from Division 2, or even getting access through a close qualifier. So that is a way for you to showcase your power. I've been saying this throughout the entire year. If you like League of Legends and if you think you're the best on your house, probably on your building, if you're lucky, or even better than Duckling, which is really not that hard, just find a team and showcase yourself. NLC has been providing with a lot of opportunities for you to showcase yourself as a player. So let's take a look into the entire group system to understand who is going to be playing during this cup. We have Group A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and
Oh, wow.
H. We're going to start with Group A, JDXL, Zal, Lucent Esports, and Hydras coming in from closed qualifier. We have one team from Division 1, guys, but it's JDXL. What are we expecting about this one, Duckling?
I mean, for JDXL, right? They still have a lot of the same roster, which looks really good. But
Mm-hmm.
there is also the question of what we saw at EU Masters. Because best performance can kind of leak into this. The holes might not have been plugged yet. Problems can arise, and upsets are certainly looming.
What about you, Tom? Because we had this conversation before, and you told me this should be an easy run for JDXL, and I instantly slapped
Yeah.
you with EU Masters.
Yeah, and I think that's a really fair point. But then again, when you look at the level from the different teams there, I feel like JDXL just have the individual best players in all roles. So it should be fairly easy for them overall. So I wouldn't expect it to be too hard for them. Now, for the second place, I feel it's a bit of a free for all. So that could be really exciting, actually.
So let's make this interesting. Let's show it again. And instead of going group by group, you'll leave Group D for the last one because we're going to be focusing that one down. Group B, Dusty, Unique Sports, Verdant, and Blade Edge coming in from the close qualifier. Should be an easy or supposedly easy first place for Dusty. And the second place is going to be a
Hmm?
fight to contend. Group C, I think it's the group of everyone. Everybody can go into that first place, jumping into Group EX7 alongside with Eminem, who retained that spot on Division 1, joined by Chaos Esports and Cabbage Family. I love these names, by the way. Rebel Esports. I mean, I think we know about this team. Maybe someone on the desk could help us going through this one. Red Gaming, ESP Rocket Core, and AAB Esports from second division is or on third
Yeah.
division right now. Astralis Talent. I know you want to talk about that one. Light Side, Carolinerna Black, and 42 Gaming. And then we jump to Group H with Bifrost with a kind of an entire new roster. Monster Rugby, Garb Gaming, Rudy Esports. So my question to you before we jump into Group D, both of you, I'm going to start with you, Tom Kick. What group are you looking for out the most?
I think the savory answer would of course be a riddle group. Now, why that group is really fun? It's
Uh-huh.
basically Norway versus Denmark.
Oh, yeah.
And it's fair to see it's a free group for Norway, so it's just looking beautiful for them, taking out all the Danish teams,
Mhm.
running over them, stomping them to the ground, and just happily Norway go.
There you go. There's the flag. What about you? Where's Denmark?
Pulse. I mean, we're gonna win it. I mean, how? What else could I say? I cannot sort of wave a Norwegian flag and be like, we're gonna smash them because I mentioned, yes, I do like Norway. Love them, maybe even, but Denmark will always be number one. And going up against three Danes, I think will be hard. But That's not actually the group I'm most excited for. Let's be honest, it probably is but Tom Kick already mentioned it. I'll take another one, and it's the Ruddy Esports group because they've also got a special team in them. It is Guap Gaming, Monster Rugby, and Bifrost.
Yeah.
And I've worked with Bifrost. They're very nice, but Guap Gaming, I mean, they have a special place in Danish Hub because this is what we in Denmark call a mixed team. They're a team of friends that are all pretty good at League of Legends. They know how to play, but you can tell they're friends. So when things work in their games, they look really, really good, and they take games up against the best teams, which they did in Division 2, for example. But if things doesn't work out, they can also drop games that they weren't really supposed to drop. So it's a very wildcard team in the sense. They're very fun to watch, and you never really know what to expect. They can beat JDXL or whoever else might be your favorites, but they can also lose to someone you've never heard of before. And that's the
I love
beauty.
the fact that I brought in the groups looking for some sort of analysis from my really IQ desk guess, and all of a sudden it's like Denmark versus Norway. Let's get it rolling. I don't know what is happening. Finally, we can jump on to Group D, which is Vanir, Nativz, Domino, Esports, and Bastu 5. I love this name, which is the group we're going to start up today. We're not going to see the first game of today, by the way. Domino Esports are going to take the win versus Vanir. So we're going to start with Bastu 5. I don't know if this is a Norway team, which is Bastu 5, TP Engel. I don't know if this is the thing versus Nativz. So we're talking about a team that supposedly it's Division 2, but they're now in Division 1. We know about this. Nativz are looking really good versus a closed qualifier. Then we have Vanir as well, Domino Esports. What can you talk about this group? Let's start with you, Tom Kick, because I know Duckling has a lot to say. And I already saw your hands going Italian, so I'm going for Tom Kick.
Yeah, when I look at least Vanir and Domino Esports, now most people would know them from Teleliga and the Norwegian scene there where they're already competing, but with completely different rosters. So now you're gonna see a totally new face of the Norwegian organizations. Now Vanir, new roster completely, also new from what we saw in NLC. There's nothing new. Everything is new there. On Domino's hand, there's just one new player from the NLC. It's the jungler Omulfin. Everything else is the same. So I'm gonna be really interested to see like how they can actually match up against each other. Nativz probably the clear favorite in the group, but I want to see the Norwegians fighting each other for that second spot. I think that could be a really close battle.
Duckling, we are 3 minutes away. Let's talk
Yeah.
a little bit about this group. What do you have to say about this one?
Well, I think not only in this group, but in the tournament as a whole, Natives to me are a very good underdog to kind of have. They're a team that might very well go ahead and win it all, but they're not your safe bet. Because this is a team that has won Division 2 back to back. They have qualified for Division 1. That means they have beaten Singularity and M&M in a full-on best of 5. They've proven that they're Division 1 capable. They've kept their whole roster, and they have success with it. So they're high in motivation. They've just qualified for the Division 1, of course, while some of the Division 1 teams have rebuilt their roster. Some are coming off disappointing Amazon European Masters runs, if you look at JDXL, and I would even go as far and say X7 in that sense. So I think they're the team with most momentum coming into this tournament, and the fact that they've just proven by winning everything they could this year, I think they're a dark horse to win it all.
Interesting take. I agree with you. Nativz are looking really strong. Every single time we casted them on Division 2, you could see their hunger, their proudness. They want to go for the first place, not only from Division 2, for Division 1. And now they want to win out of the open. These guys are like, we see it, we want to win it. This is a starving team. And they're going to be facing Bastu 5, which is a Finnish team. Obviously, they came in from a close qualifier, as you guys can check on our social media. By the way, if you don't follow us, I don't know what is happening with your social media game. So drop a like and follow us on the NLC. And there you go. Bastu 5, Finnish team. But obviously, they're forced to face Nativz. And there's that big relation. I'm going to start with you with this, Tom Kick. We are 1 minute before the champion select. The idea that on Nativz side, you have a lot of VODs to review and a lot of ideas to study. On Bastu 5, you have no idea what you're jumping into. And this is a best of 1. So we might get that Italian cheese coming in, that little drop of cheese. And maybe Bastu 5 could have an angle here, no?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I think they should be doing. Like having the cheese, pull it out, have fun, especially when you are against clear favorites like this who are supposed to go pretty far in the tournament. So now I want to see Bastu 5, Finnish team, Finnish players show each other with something fun. But then again, Nativz is the team to be also pulling out the weird stuff. So it might just be a fiesta game overall if both teams pulling out the cheeses onto each other. So who has the strongest blue cheese?
Oh, the strongest blue cheese. Love it. What about you, Duckling? Do you also believe this is going to be a crazy best of 1?
Yeah, I think obviously Natives heavy favorites, but the fact that Bastu 5 is such a wild card, we don't know what to expect. Natives haven't been able to prep as much as they normally like to do. I know they're a very preppy team in that sense. So I think Bastu 5 are the team with the upper hand because we don't know anything about them.
I think we're about to jump into the champion select of the first game, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, we're looking into the patch that it's almost the patch that we're running on Worlds, if not the same, which is really interesting. Which
12-18, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of a different meta from what we've seen before. This team play Natives as well, jumping into this one. There we go. So now we get access to this champion select. They're going to hit the Swain. And what are the other picks? Because I know Silas is a really strong one, but what about that Aatrox? It keeps being a nightmare on World Cup. Nobody has found an answer, not even T2. So what can we expect from this champion select to begin with?
Well, I mean, the Maokai, for example, is one of the prominent picks in Worlds, has
Yeah.
been flexed through 3 different roles, has had a lot of success. For me, though, I want to bring on the fact that Udyr has also been enabled, hasn't been seen in Worlds, but this is something that Bastu 5, for example, might have practiced and are able to bring up because none of these teams will have played against it before competitively, and that could be the wrench in the plans. And Pantheon, did see some play at Worlds, Ashram, and has been removed.
Sadness of the highest order, as Kaisa is going to be the last one. So you take away the Kaisa. This is like targeting Yopa, but also those close quarters champions. I've seen a lot of answers for the Kaisa. Getting this ban here, do you think it means that they want to pick something specifically?
I don't think anything specifically. Maybe opening more for the ADC pool. Now, Kaisa is prominently for jumping onto weak AD carries who wants to side lane. So maybe something like Caitlyn, something Ezreal. Caitlyn usually want to be having the high pressure up in the lane. So if you pair it with something that can go really hard in, that's something you can capitalize on. And that's something we see a lot in Worlds, is the AD carry meta is really different from team to team. Somebody has huge pry on Caitlyn, and some just want to add the Samira, the Kai'Sa, the Kalista, stuff like that. So it's really dependent. But right now, it looks like we're not seeing the champions getting picked.
Yeah, I was trying to see that information because I know they're getting picked. It's going for the third side of blue side, and then we'll get the second rotation from bands. So I think the bands will at least appear on our champion selectors. We're still waiting to see what is the priority. That's why we're not talking about these these picks. I don't know if you guys back at home are able to see the picks, but regardless of that, we're just waiting for the information.
Wait.
We're getting a refresh.
Didn't work.
Okay, let's
It's
let's
a
put on some bets.
save.
Yeah, regardless, I
Okay.
want to mention Misfortune, for example, as one of the most prominent AD carries that has been kind of seen by everyone to be, yeah, she's pretty all right and pretty good as we finally get it pulled up. One of the things I was pushing in the jungle would have been the Hecarim, who has seen quite a lot of priority at Worlds, but instead, obviously, the Aatrox gets insta-locked. While though the Sejuani, Caitlyn, and Corgi are the picks over on Bastu 5's side. So just to keep it full clear, I'm going to give you guys the overview because I am being told you guys can't see it. Natives have locked in Aatrox, Tristana, and Trundle. Bastu 5 has locked in the Sejuani, Caitlyn, and the Corgi.
Okay, so this is interesting because now as we jump into the second phase of bans, we just divert from those ones because you guys can see the idea of getting the Aatrox and the Trundle, a lot of power at the beginning and the late game as well. The Tristana can go all in as well. Caitlyn can kind of deal with it with the net if she's careful enough, and probably getting a support that can help on that one. Tom Kick, I've watched a one trick pony from Aatrox, and he was talking about counter picks on the top lane, and he said that only 2 counter picks on the top lane. I don't know if you want to talk about that. What do you think it should be picked for the top?
I think it's a really hard question overall because, like, I listed some people as like, there's nothing to stop Aatrox. He will just be a menace anyway. But now we see the Volibear locked in, so it looks like it could be Sejuani top, it could be Volibear top. It's both flexible, so they hold back a lot of the information here with R4. And then instantly from native side is Lilia and Draven. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be Trundle support, Tristana or Draven bot lane. Both could go mid, most likely Tristana mid lane, I would assume. But this is like heavily, we want to fight. We want to fist fight onto the team. And for Bastu 5 here, they need to be peeling back. Renata, really good ending for them. So it's all about who can engage the hardest or who can actually keep back the most.
Okay, we're about to jump into game, Duckling. We have 50 seconds. Talk to me about priorities from both teams and where do they excel.
I think looking over to the side of Bastu 5, you have the Volibear. You really need to get ahead early. After the nerfs, it has become harder, but you need to. Otherwise, you fall off too quickly to really add anything to the game. So I'm looking at Polar. He needs to accelerate the early game quickly, get rolling, and get dominating.
What about you, Tom Kick? Give me those last few words.
Now, I just gotta say, it looks like it's Draven mid, so I'm looking forward to the mid lane action. Is it
Definitely.
Corki who's really squishy in the early game, really gonna struggle against Draven? I'm just wanna look at it really running down with Draven. That's probably the one I'm looking at.
What? That's
This
not
is
what I
interesting.
expected, man.
Yeah, we thought about best of 5 bringing the shenanigans, but it seems it's going to be on the other side, Nativz bringing the shenanigans. But talking about bringing something interesting, I'm tossing it over to the casters that are going to be casting these games to start up the day. It's J Real and Solari with the swag.
We have the swag. Which team will get the bag? That's what we're saying today. It's J-Real, it's Solari. We've gone from the NLC flow and we're bringing it back for another good set of games. Once again, we've already seen the pick and ban. Solari, what is going on?
Please don't ask me because I absolutely don't know what's going on, my man. These picks are absolutely insane. I love what's happening with Nativz. Come on, J-Real, we both cast Nativz when they got their sweet spot for Division 1. That was a beautiful best of 5 series, and we kind of got the idea that you don't know what to expect from Nativz ever. And today, they seem to be here just to prove this very point to us. This ban is going absolutely, not the ban, but this draft route is going absolutely insane. So I want to see what else they have in their heads because, come on, that Draven mate all of a sudden, who would have expected that?
They are running different comps, and I cannot stress that enough. They are picking it up and they're just throwing it down. We talked a little bit when we last casted this team about how they wanted to function, how they wanted to play, what was their optimal strategies. Snille was a huge carry for this team. Putting on something like the Lilia is perfect to see. We also saw them play against Aatrox every single game, pretty much.
Yeah.
They had the Gnar. They also had the Gragas counter, but we're now going to get to see them play it themselves.
This is going to be the first time, and I have very high expectations from the Aatrox on the top, to be honest, because, you know, mirroring what the desk said, Aatrox is a menace on the top lane right now, and nobody knows what exactly to do with it. So do Bastu 5 know what to do with it? Because they have thrown Sejuani there, and that's the matchup that we have seen already throughout Division 2 relegations, Division 1 rather relegations. So it's a tough one for Sejuani. You know that she's going to survive through the majority of the matchups, but this particular one is a hard one. Honestly, it's a hard one for anybody.
And it doesn't feel like Volibear's going to really be able to give that much help either because he's going to be in the same boat. He's going to have the same problems against the Aatrox. And the 2v2 Aatrox Lilia versus Volibear Sedge does not feel like it's something that Bastu want to take. And we've also got to look at it. Look, this is game 1 of the day. Are both teams going to be warmed up? Are they going to be ready for this one to fight? I'm not going to lie, looking at these comps, yes, we have the Draven in the mid, but Nativz, for me, they have a little bit more going on for themselves.
They have a lot more going on in general, I would say, because they have so many interesting tools for setting up, for starting the fight with Bastu 5, and they can have the fights on their own terms because they have so many tools to control the terrain of the battlefield and the formation of the enemy team as well. For Bastu 5, it's going to be super important that they have utilized their Volibear, Sejuani, and Renata, because those are the things that might be able to stop whatever Nativz will be trying to throw at them. Especially, I'm looking at Renata, because there is a lot of AD happening on the side of Nativz, so one good hostile takeover could potentially turn around the whole fight, but it means that Bastu 5 have a really, really hard task in front of them.
No, indeed they do, and they're coming in as the underdogs, right? It is going to be Nativz that are the ones that are looking strong. Obviously, we've all seen them go from Div 2 to Div 1 now. They're looking powerful. They're a very good roster. They've stayed together for this tournament as well. Bastu 5, they're a little bit unknown, you know?
A little
you
bit?
know their finish.
Yes.
That's a lot of the information that we have on them. I feel like, in a way, it gives them a lot of success potential. As we said on the desk, they don't really have that much in terms of footage. You know, you can't really know what this team has done in the past.
Yeah, knowing that their finish is enough for them to steal my heart already. But the problem is, here we have Bastu 5 for a finish, and we have Nativz. And Nativz have already stolen my heart as well when I was watching them in the relegation. So I'm a little bit torn right now. But yeah, that's true. We absolutely don't know what to expect from that finish team. They are just a completely blank page for us. So I'm really looking forward to this game because I want to see what they have prepared for us.
No, indeed. And look, it looks like they prepared a lot, right? Trundle, support, I think it's perfect into stage 1, Volibear, but it's definitely not the normal, right? They've gone off the books with this, but they've also put Draven mid. Like, Draven is
Yeah.
so good. Yes, we saw Rhino play some crazy stuff as well. We saw him play that Yone, really, really powerful pick, but Draven is a whole nother level.
Yeah. That's not something I expected even from that player, to be honest. But that's a very interesting switch on what's happening on the mid lane and what could potentially happen on the mid lane. Because I expected something like Yone or Yasuo, for example, who has been banned preemptively by Bastu 5. But this Draven, because we have Corki on the mid lane, and Corki is the champion who struggles very often versus very many matchups in the early game on the laning phase. So you're throwing Draven against him, and Draven is a thing that is going to be pushing constantly, and it's going to apply a lot of kill pressure on that lane, which means that Bastu 5 will need to have their jungler's attention and potentially their support's attention as well on that mid lane. Which means what? Which means top lane, for example, is left alone, and this is all that Lundef wants.
No, it is indeed. We saw time and time again Lundorf getting more and more success in that top side. We saw him just push the boundaries every single time we're playing against M&M. He was able to win so many lanes, even though he was the one getting ganked. He didn't get that support from his own jungler. But when they do decide to play for that top side as well, we've seen them absolutely dominate. So it is a very questionable game as how we want to see Bastu 5 play this. But you know what? They do have a lot of range. As you said, they do have a pretty nice team fight with that hostile takeover. They have the 2 tanks. They can play front to back. But to play front to back, they have to make sure that they are ahead. If they fall behind, Draven, Tristana, jumping in the damage, the Aatrox, the Lilia, it's just too much to handle.
Exactly. If they fall back, if they fall behind compared to Nativz, it's going to be so hard for them to find their footing in the game. Because Nativz have a lot of scaling on their hands, and no matter how bad the situation might be in the beginning, if it's not too traumatic, they should be able to still feel pretty comfortable as they go into the mid game. For Bastu 5, they have some scaling of their own as well, but they will need to wait for quite a long for it to hit, and it's not going to be comparing to what Nativz have on their hands to what they will have in the late game. Which means Bastu 5 need to try to play from ahead. I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know yet how they're going to try to do it, but they have to try.
Oh, it looked like we almost started the game there, but we haven't. We haven't started the game. You got more of us, so stay tuned in. Stay tuned in because we got a lot to talk about. We've also got to talk about from the desk. Artrum saying what he said. Right, he quoted some Ariana Grande there. If they want it, they've got it.
If you want it, take it.
It's a bit Seven Rings. Can they achieve that stuff? We'll have to find out. I'm not really sure. I feel like Bastu 5, they've come through with a lot of energy, but are they going to make me believe the gods are women? Like, Solari, come on. What are you thinking here? Do you feel like, percentage-wise, what's their odds of making this game?
Ooh, you're asking me about percentage. Percentages are numbers. I don't like numbers, man, and you should know that by now. But can I just be safe and say 50-50? But in my heart, I feel like it's more like 60-40 maybe.
Okay, fair. I respect that. I respect that a lot. Obviously, the numbers game, it is a little bit difficult. Maybe there's going to be a poll on Twitter for you guys at home. Go check that one out. Go check out the NLC on Twitter. Maybe go check us out and all the people on the desk as well on Twitter. Shout out Megamind too. But without less of the plugs and back to this game, we are going to be having a remake. I believe we're probably going to be skipping the draft phase and running it back into this. So we're going to go back to talking about maybe a little bit about what we know of these teams. We're going to bring a little bit of history lessons to your screens about Nativz. Obviously Nativz, a big team that we got to cast, going on their way to Div 1. Solari, give the people at home a little breakdown of what happened.
So, we're talking about Nativz, the team that has been fighting through Division 2 this whole competitive season through the spring split and the summer split. I'm so excited I can't even speak apparently today. They were fighting quite nicely until there was that very big moment, which is called the summer relegations. The 2 teams winning the relegations go into Division 1, so you get your golden ticket. The 2 teams losing stay or go into Division 2, because we have 2 best teams from Division 2 and 2 teams on the last places in Division 1. So Nativz went into there, they smurfed through it apparently, went to the very last game of theirs, where they were facing M&M, right? Yes.
Yes.
And it was the best of 5 series. It was a long one, a beautiful one, but it was 3-2. They managed to secure their golden ticket. And now, next year, we're going to see them as Division 1 team.
Div 1, they've come into this listed as Div 2, but obviously we know they're Div 1 now. They've leveled themselves up. It makes them a strong favorite. Bastu 5, as we said, a relatively unknown team. They're coming in from Div 1 3.1 specifically. They're not in the same league as the side of Nativz, but it doesn't mean the underdog stories don't happen. We've all watched the film Dodgeball. Things can change. You know, the average Joes could step up and kill those purple Cobras, but obviously there is no Skana in this game. There is no Cassiopeia, so we won't be seeing any purple or Cobras in this one. But we are going to see the return of a few champions that have been popularized in Worlds right now, right? We have to go back to the Aatrox. We've talked about it once. We'll talk about it twice. We'll talk about it 3 times. We're probably going to talk about it 4, 5, 6, 7 as we go through this game because Aatrox is such a powerhouse. And going into this one, he's not only scary for those tanks, but he's also scary for those ADCs. Specifically, Solari, what kind of things would you be looking for? Maybe items, maybe playstyles that you need to do against this Aatrox?
You need to shut him down. That's the strategy that we actually saw Nativz 5 taking when they were facing that Aatrox on top over and over again. You shut it down as early as possible and as much as possible. You put all your brain force onto this top lane. You only focus on it. You have the tunnel vision on the top because how the top lane goes is going to determine how the rest of the game is going for you. You need to shut him down. You need to make sure he's in the state where he just cannot play the game anymore. Deny him the experience. Deny him the items. Make sure you kill him constantly. Doesn't even matter who in your team gets the kills because you have Volibear and Sejuani. It doesn't really matter how much you're spreading these kills between them. Just shut him down. Make sure he goes at least 0-3 by 15th minute. And then you should be happy because then you can forget about this Aatrox. If anything goes in any other direction, you're screwed. That's it.
Yeah, it is going to be difficult because, again, we've talked about how important team fighting is. Now, we watched Nativz once again. We're going to bring that one up. Nativz, so good in the team fight. Really able to control it against M&M, who were pegged as basically one of the best team fighting teams in that promotion tournament. And we looked at those Dragons. We saw how important those fights are. Now, you talked about showing down this Aatrox. Does that maybe open up Nativz to pick up those early Drakes because we're saying that Bastu 5 are going to have to send so much pressure to the top side?
Potentially. I'm having a hard time predicting what exactly is going to happen on the bot side of the map because we have a little bit of an unusual situation there. Like on one side of Bastu 5, we have Caitlyn, Renata. You know what's going to happen there. They have a lot of range, quite a lot of control, so they can try to bully the lane. But they might not have a chance to do so because they're not just facing anybody. They're facing Tristana, who has just 2 patches ago, I believe, received a small but very nice buff to her attack speed on her Q. And then we have Trundle with her, who usually you don't see around the lanes, but you know that whenever the Trundle is in the jungle and he comes to the bot lane, he's going to wreak havoc there. So now he's just staying there constantly, making sure that he's going to be able to control the lane for his AD carry at all times. And what's even worse, it's going to be very hard for both Caitlyn and Renata to get away if these two get anywhere ahead and they decide to go all in onto their opponents. It's going to be a really hard lane for a Bastu 5. So I will not make any specific predictions here about how the lane is going to go, but depending on how it will go, actually, will determine what is going to be happening around the Drakes. Oh, we know Drakes are a big priority these days, of course, even more than before, but I would say Nativz have a better chance of controlling the Drakes, to be honest. Just because I'm looking at the Trundle, and you basically have 2 junglers in your team, which means whenever it comes to controlling the objectives, you're 1 step ahead already.
Yeah, and also looking at the Trundle, you've got things like the Subjugate. That's going to be a big problem for Sejuani, big problem for Volibear. You've also got to look at the Pillar of Ice plus the Rocket Jump. As you said, it's going to make it very hard for people to move around.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Trundle is all about. He's about controlling the terrain of the battlefield and about making sure that the tanks in the enemy team are not that playable anymore. Because Bastu 5 have to rely a lot on their front lane because they have Caitlyn on the back lane and they have Koki there that absolutely need to have some front lane before them. They rely on this very clear front to back team fighting composition when it comes to the big fights. If you crush it, if you make sure that you have an easy access to the enemy's back lane, they are going to find themselves dead. I cannot find a nicer word for that, unfortunately.
No, for sure. And I also say, we've already talked about how Pillar of Ice could cause terrain issues. You've also got the Buster Shot from Tristana. That is going to be a little bit problematic. The Sleep from Lilia, it's going to make it so that if it is Nativz that do set up first at the objective. It is very, very daunting walking into them because they have such CC from long range. They have such good ways to knock you out of the fight or put up terrain to stop you walking in that it makes those smaller choke points that will set up really nicely for that damage coming out of Aatrox, for that damage coming out of Draven, and it is going to be problematic. But on the flip side of this coin, as you said, if there is going to be that hostile takeover, it changes the game. You also have the potential for that Glacial Prison coming out of Sejuani, maybe getting a pick. Volibear could jump over that wall with the Stormbringer, but also Corki with the package can make everything very, very difficult for this side. Now look, we've talked about Bastu 5 being the underdogs, but I've been told, now correct me if I'm wrong, that apparently their team is actually called Sauna. You know, like where you go to sweat.
A sauna, yes.
So it sounds like they're ready for the pressure.
For the pressure and the heat, exactly. I mean, they have to. Going into such a matchup, they absolutely have to.
They have to indeed. And I believe we are going on to the Rift. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. On to your screens is some League of Legends that you've been waiting for. Bastu 5 taking on Nativz is the first game of our day. As we said, Domino already picked up a win against Veneer because they did forfeit, unfortunately. But we are here ready for some action. And we'll see if Nativz can live up to the expectations that we've set.
And action is something that we are going to get, I believe, because look at these teams. Look at these combinations that we got on the screen. These things are going to fight each other very hardly when it gets to the mid game. But before we get into that, no cheesy tactics this time. I believe our desk has been talking about cheese in some sense, but we're not getting any of it just yet. Fortunately or unfortunately, I think you like the cheesy tactics in the beginning.
No, I do like a good cheesy tactic. You know, it changes the game a little bit, and I feel like if you are Bastu 5, maybe that's the play. We also talked about it. Oh, sorry, the desk already talked about it. They were saying that, you know what? This is kind of how you want to play the game. If you do have those cheesy tactics, it gives you such an edge, and in these best of ones, it could make all the difference. So, with that being said, we will hopefully see something a little bit cheesy. You know, we already talked about if you want to stop the push, camp in the bush, maybe we'll see some more of that.
Oh my god, I remember that one, and it still haunts me a little bit. But what is happening right now on the screen is that we see both junglers are starting from the top side of the map, which means most probably they will be slowly rotating towards the bot side, and apparently this is where most of the action will happen, unless there is a sudden change of mind in someone's head and they switch to the top lane as we kind of thought it would happen. But let's see. Bot lane is definitely going to be very heated one because both of these AD carries want to be fighting for the prio on the lane, and they have the supports that will allow them to do that, especially as the time will go. Most probably Renata will have more room to just be helping her AD carry to get this free room of movement around the lane.
No, indeed, obviously both, as you said, looking at that priority. Caitlyn especially notorious for that one to do a little trade in that top side, but also mid lane has a very similar situation. Corki wants to be able to run, wants to be able to push, but Draven is such a threat in those early stages.
And this is the perfect thing to throw at Corki, because you want to be shoving him, you want to make the early game unplayable for Corki, which is not that hard, to be honest. Again, Corki is the champion that suffers pretty much till, what, 15th, 20th minute in the game, depends on how the game goes for the rest of the team. But he will suffer, especially against the champion who will be pushing forward constantly. Yeah, that's quite a lot of damage, but do you see the mana on Corki? He's running out of it because he's constantly using the abilities, just trying to get at least any farm.
Ooh, Pillar of Ice, they're going down, but it's not going to be enough. You know, they're not going to really use that to jump in. And also, Volibear is looking to finish off that clear soon-ish. And does that change how Draven has to play, right? Obviously, no dashes, does have that bit of move speed, and can stop the Volibear advancing. But isn't going to be the best at getting away from ganks.
Best gank is the gank that never happened, says Snealer. No, he does not, because he is on the bot lane already.
Ooh, what's looking for something? They're not going to be able to make it happen just yet. Ryla is going quite low, but as you said, the mana from Thrin is starting to drop. They're not going to have the same mana resources in a few minutes, and maybe they get a little bit of help from Polar as he does walk into the lane to put a bit of pressure down.
Ooh, can we see what's happening on the mid lane? Because there is the bear, the Ponzabion, but he's not getting anything, unfortunately. Even the Flash is still available for Rilla, so he's feeling rather nice. Plus, the Lily is already there to make sure she's securing the deal. And right now, maybe this is the time that we switch attention to the top for a little while, because both junglers are just walking there. I know there is a scuttle crab happening, which is the prio, but what if somebody starts looking at the top? Because there is still Aatrox, and he is farming up.
And I won't lie, this is not what I expected. Right now, Polar is quite far ahead of Stille in the early game. Lilia, notorious for how fast they can farm, actually falling behind the Volibear. It's a little bit surprising to me. Obviously, you know, Lilia wanting to get to that level 6 to become a really, really dangerous ganker. The tempo slightly off for Natives.
I have to admit, I'm on the same page with you here. I expected Lilia to finish the clear much faster and to continue getting the clear, because, as you said, she absolutely needs to rush that level 6 for her. But indeed, Polar is much ahead, and good for him, I guess.
No, good for him indeed. Bastu is exactly what they want to see, and also their bot lane is starting to get a bit of that push priority. They're able to force them underneath that tower. We'll see if they can turn that into any further advantages. Though obviously Caitlyn, if they can get some tower plates, that would be perfect. Maybe some kill pressure as well. But on this top side, it's what we talked about, you know. Aatrox is causing problems. Nothing major just yet, but when he gets that 6, when he gets the World Ender, things do change.
Or if he gets his jungler to visit the top lane, because if there is a jungler from Bastu 5 coming on the top lane, they're probably just trying to prevent something that could happen. If there is jungler from Nativz happening on the top lane, this is definitely going to be a kill. So Bastu 5 need to try to keep their vision on the movement of Snille around the map. But right now, as you were talking about it, indeed there was a prio on the bot lane finally achieved for Bastu 5, and a pretty nice prio actually. But the problem is, they don't have absolutely any prio around the mid lane right now, because Really is still doing the Really thing. Oh my god, wait a second,
no.
what?
Lundorf going aggressive here. Atmo just able to walk away. Doesn't have flash. Was able to remove themselves from that situation, but Lundorf is starting to cause problems. We talked about how key this player is for Natives.
This player and this champion, honestly, this is a very, very scary combination. So I'm really surprised to see Bastu 5 not paying any attention to this top side just yet. Atmo just realized what can happen when he faces Lundorf, who's ahead of him in level, so there must be some movement happening from Bastu 5 towards the top side, or else, I don't know, they're just going to lose the lane, and losing the lane to Aatrox doesn't mean absolutely anything good to you, because we saw what he can do. He goes straight on the team fights, or he finds the flanking maneuvers. This is a champion that can do any of those things very successfully.
Indeed, right now, talking about the junglers, we are going to see Snille roaming up as Polar is met clocked in this jungle. There's the blast code, going to force him to flash away. Draven able to roam, but in the bot side now, Yoppa facing the 2v1, going to rocket jump out of there. And a bit of a switch up in tempo for Natives there, forcing a play on that top side of the jungle. They find the jungler, but on the bot side, Tristana now going to be pushed into their tower.
It's rather interesting that we saw clogs actually happening on the top side, and it's a little bit too early for starting to try to clear the terrain around the Herald pit. So I believe it was indeed just an attempt to have some action around the top lane. Almost resulted in a kill in the bot lane, but it's Tristana, and it's really hard to punish her, even if she's completely alone on the lane and you have the numbers advantage.
No, indeed, it can be. Yoppa able to stay pretty even through that roam, as you said, able to keep themselves consistent. Lundorf once again starting to get these leads now up one level, is starting to put a bit of pressure onto that Sejuani. It looked very nice going up to pre-6, but now post-6 things are starting to get a little bit more heated, and we'll have to see if junglers do start to roam up onto the top side, as mid lane is still keeping the same track as wait a minute. Pillar of Ice, they're going to be used. Pretty fresh push under tower, but Yoppa's still very low.
There is no mana available for Fruity Fresh for Caitlyn, so keep an eye on that. Unfortunately, because of that, they cannot really continue and try to have a kill pressure. Plus, they're standing right under the turret, and there is no level 6 available for either Renata or Caitlyn, so they cannot really go and extend it, but at least they're getting the turret plate, so I would say the bot lane is pretty much in control of Bastu 5 right now. Again, what I was trying to say before, which is good because you want to be using that to rotate towards the first Drake, which is the the Cloud Drake. But because your situation on the mid lane is so bad right now, you cannot really do it unless you do something about what's happening with your core key.
No, indeed. And we'll see if Thorn can maybe start to get a little bit of play on this map. Right now, though, Snille going to play to that top side, play to that advantage of the Aatrox, and take that Herald early. So obviously looking to get a little bit of gold onto some of their laners, maybe knock down one of those early towers and really put some pressure onto this map.
Look at Bastu 5. I think they're rotating towards the Drake right now, because we have quite many people just walking around this jungle. So possibly there could be some action around the Drake, which is a good answer to the Herald. You exchange the objectives. With the buff to the dragons, it's even a pretty good exchange. But actually, it's not happening. I am disappointed right now.
Yeah, Volibear
I like early Drakes.
Deciding to back away. Obviously, Corki could be waiting for the package as well. Once you do get that, you do get a lot of priority around that Dragon Pit. Obviously, no one wants to stand in effectively what the Equalizer is.
That's true. Actually, that's very true. Because with Kolki, you either take the first dragon as soon as possible to have the second by the time you get the package, or you try to wait with the first dragon until you get that very first package. So apparently, Bastu 5 are trying to play around the second scenario.
Yeah, we'll see if they can in a second. As right now, I feel like Clocks, he's been having an okay time on Trundle, but it's not been maybe as special as I thought it could be. They're going to now go for this Drake. We'll see if things do start to kick off, though, as he does get those gets that subjugate and the team fight starts to begin.
There is no way for Corki to go and get the package because it's still too early for the first one. And honestly, no way for Bastu 5 to go and answer that dragon because they lost the prior that they had around the bot lane. A very unfortunate situation for them because in the end they lost both of the major objectives on the map and they lost any prior that they were holding in their hands. So now they need to fight and try to get it back. But regardless of that, they're actually still leading in gold. It's a tiny bit, but they're still leading, and I would say it's mostly because of those third plays that happened on the bot lane.
Yeah, Cloud Dragon taken. We're gonna have Hextech Drake next, I believe, because that's why we've got another Cloud Drake coming up. But it leaves open some pretty good souls. Mountain, Infernal, Ocean, all potentially for the taking in this game, and obviously some a little bit more preferred than others. I feel like Infernal probably the one that people would want in this game.
Infernal or Mountain? But probably Infernal would be the best one. Yes, you get some very nice damage boost. It's going to be scaling together with you. If you lose the first two Drakes and you get lucky with the Soul, as Bastu 5, you can now look into trying to stack 4 dragons on top of each other, each giving you the bonus.
No need. Right now, though, we're seeing a very quiet game from Nativz. You know, we have seen this before. We've seen them play in that first game and that last game against Eminem. They were playing it slow, playing it strategic. Right now, though, are you a little bit worried for either team that the game is going on quite a slow tempo and it's very even?
Yes. I am very worried for Bastu 5 because I'm looking at the top lane. I'm looking at Aatrox already with the Eclipse completed on him. The moment he leaves top lane, which is now, yeah.
We are going to see a gank there in the mid. We're seeing a lot of damage go down, but it might be Bastu 5. We get the first blood. It's actually going to be Draven, and there we go. We see another kill going down. Atmo trying to make it out, but it's not going to be so. Draven with the double. It's going to be Nativz with 3. Only 1 to Bastu 5.
3-1. That was very good. We're very well placed Renata from Bastu 5, but not well enough because we got League of Draven, because we got Relay, and we had Aatrox. I was just going to say, the moment that Aatrox leaves the top lane, we won.
Oh, bot lane as well, Justona! Going for the kill, Yoppa with the solo underneath the tower.
Yoppa is not kidding on the bot lane. He had to use the flash, but he got the kill, and that is what matters. What also matters is that that turret on the mid lane still stands, so Bastu 5 still have some ground that they can try to protect. 4-1 we go in the end, might be a little bit more because suddenly there is a lot of 10s everywhere in the map, but I don't think it's going to result in anything now. So for now, for the moment, we go 4-1. All of a sudden, Nativz just go and explode.
Nah, they were just waiting. They were lying in wait like a leopard or something, and then boom, they just jump out and they grab their prey. But right now, it is going to be Clocks. It is the one being hunted down. Boom! Snipe City from downtown, 3 fresh. Hitting the edge of the hole.
Unfortunately for Clock, sometimes we see that happening with him misstepping a little bit, walking in the areas where there is not enough vision for his team. Giving another kill to Bastu 5, so 4-2 in the end, but I would say the difference is still rather big, and while there were those 2 kills on Relay, and it feels like he's potentially going to be growing into a big hyper carry for the team, that Lundov worries me a lot. You saw how much impact he had on the mid lane the moment he stepped on there. Just the sheer amount of damage and the fact that he's already so hard to kill. What are Bastu 5 going to do about him? Because I'm not seeing any tools just yet. There's not enough gold on the team to start talking about big items to deal with him, but I need to see some things, and especially I think I need to see some healing production.
And it's more than just the kills, right? They got the pressure around mid. They've now taken the mid tower there as Relay finishes that one off. But they also have that mental advantage of, look, we know we're stronger. We can pull the trigger when we want to. But they also gain a huge gold lead. Right now, they're sitting at about 3.5k ahead.
Ooh, all of a sudden, yeah, we have a very big gold difference here. Oh, yeah, Atmo, you're in trouble because Snail is here, but he misses. Okay, Atmo is fine for now. There is a second Herald popping up rather soon on the Summoner's Rift, so there is quite some attention coming from Nativz already towards it. They take it, they can take out another outer turret, because I feel like Nativz just want to destroy all outer turrets at this moment.
Yeah, it's fitting with how we saw them play before. They like to take those out towers, then take those tier 2s, very strategic, getting all the gold that they can across the map. And Tristana, notoriously good at taking towers, so definitely one they can rotate. And with the Draven ADC as well, it does feel like they're a team that could take down towers very, very efficiently.
Yeah, you have 2 AD carries, and you have Tristana, who is just the AD carry that you want to take when you want to destroy turrets as quickly as possible. So yeah, definitely Nativz just by default have a better hand here. But not just Herald, which is up already by the way, and Sneely is running around it, I presume going to or taking it already. The next Drake, which is indeed the Hex Drake, is going to be up rather soon, so you can see Nativz already looking into it as well, having quite some vision established around it. But I have to say, when it comes to vision, Bastu 5 are not too bad either.
But we'll see if Bastu 5 can maybe push for a little bit of priority around this Drake, right? We know that Lilia is on that top, so we know that Sneely isn't here for the Drake, and it does give a bit of an opening, and they are doing just that. They're doing what we wanted them to do around that first Drake. They're going to press for it when they know the objective on the other side of the map has been taken.
Yep, and they have the package. Because of the timing of the first Drake, they now have the package right by the time the second Drake comes, so you know as Nativz that it's stupid to fight with Corki when he has the package available for him, especially in such a terrain where he has easy time flying around. So it was a good Drake. Wait, what?
It wasn't even the towers have been taken, and now Tobai in trouble. It seems like Nativz have managed to pick up another kill there. Draven gonna take one more. Those stacks are just giving so much extra gold to the Executioner himself. We see a second charge on the top side as well. Although Bastu 5 gonna find a kill onto Snille, who's a little bit too deep in the jungle.
Okay, so we have 5-3. It's interesting because as of some point, there is always an answer with a kill from Bastu 5 coming whenever Nativz score a kill of their own. And that was a rather good kill because it's going into that Corki. But everything else that's happening on the map, aside from that kill, is very bad for Bastu 5 right now. They lost all the outer turrets, so they lost quite a lot of prio. And while they got one Drake, and now we have a good soul that everybody can try to stack up on, it's not looking very good for Bastu 5.
Yes, so indeed, as right now Lundorf has popped the World Ender. He's getting so much healing back. Polar had to use the Stormbringer as well, and this gank has just turned right back around in Aatrox's favor, and it's what we talked about. We said this is such a dangerous champion for these two specifically. They're tanks, they don't necessarily have the burst damage that they need, and they will get absolutely slaughtered later on.
Exactly, because when you try to gank Aatrox, it's like, oh, you're trying to gank me? Good, it's double kill coming my way. Come, please, I want you. So, this is Aatrox. This is Aatrox that has not been stopped in the early game.
It is indeed not stopped. Actually accelerated, I feel like is what has happened really.
Yeah.
Got the tower, got a lot of plating, got a lot of gold from kills as well, able to roam around the map and not had any pressure put on themselves. They're doing pretty good, and obviously it's Lundorf. We talked about him so much, but Relay as well on this Draven. We didn't really talk about it too much because there was so much focus on that top and bot side of the map, but also has played exactly how they would have wanted it to go. They've got early kills, they've got early pressure, they've taken that early tower, and now sitting 2.5 items up.
3-0-1 goes at Draven. This is a very big thing, and this is potentially, I mean, not potentially, it is already the biggest carry for the team. One of the 280 carries, you can see how nicely the idea of having 280 carries is working for the team, because you can dump all the AP damage into your jungler, and the rest can just go either full AD, like is happening with Tristana, or go lethality, as we see with Relay.
They're just moving their players around the map. They're now looking for that top tower as well. They are just accelerating this gold lead every single time we see them make a move. They're now up by about 7,000 gold, which is absurd. We're only 17 minutes in.
Remember, we're talking about how hard it's going to be for Bastu 5 to play from behind, if they get behind? Well, they got behind, and it's looking very dire for them, unfortunately. They keep losing the turrets. The inner turrets on the top on the bot are going down rather quickly. And nobody's stopping Nativz from doing whatever they want on the map. And right now for Bastu 5, this is going to be so hard to get out of where they find themselves in. Their biggest hope would be a good team fight that is going on their terms, where they want it to happen. But I don't think Nativz are going to give them a chance to do it.
Everywhere we see towers being taken. We see pressure being applied. Infernal Drake is the soul. I don't think we're even going to have to worry about it, to be honest, at this rate, because Nativz are slowly but surely crushing all of these towers. And I say slowly, but that's in the space of 5 minutes. I believe they've taken 3 towers.
Yeah, I mean, it's not slowly at all, it's rather quickly, but what else do you expect when, again, you have two AD carries, one of which being Tristana, and nobody from Bastu 5 is there to stop them, because it's really hard for them to have those 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 fights. Again, they must hope for a good 5-on-5 team fight where they have all the resources available, all the ultimates, ideally also the package on Corki. But Nativz have to understand that as well, and that's why they're not giving them a chance to group up and go and have this full-on 5-on-5 fight. Because Nativz know any smaller fight, they win it by default.
Yeah, and I have to say, shout out to Corki. You know, that is a great skin. That is it's a shining light to Bastu 5's game right now. You know, it's a beautiful skin that we can't just not talk about.
It helps with morality, I guess. Are good.
Yeah, the morale,
I like
Corpus.
Yeah.
Yeah, who doesn't? But back to this game. Clocks getting caught out again. We did talk about this being a little bit problematic. Is going to be able to walk away. Obviously, does have subjugate as well, so would be able to make themselves very, very tanky because Polar obviously building full tank volleyball. Same with Sejuani. Needs to be a little bit careful about getting shredded. And now talking about being careful, Tabai is going to be caught by the pillar of ice here. Now Tristana a bit of damage down as well, but not able to really close the gap.
Rather interesting, because Bastu 5 had a little numbers advantage there, and there is hostile takeover available, so they could have tried to accelerate that a little bit. And now they are in a disadvantage, and they're continuing, and they're proceeding. What are they doing?
Ooh, Demar is stepping forward, but that hostile takeover is going to go very, very wide, and now they can be in big trouble. We're going to see those done jumping into the backline. It's going to be absolutely removed from this game, as Lundov is here. The world is ending for Bastu 5 in this game, as he has popped the ultimate, running them down. Fruity Fresh, you are gone, my friend, as we are going to see Polo trying to leave with the Storm Breaker, but the Storm is here. The Thunder is crushing, and goodbye, he says to the team as he actually manages to walk away.
He manages to, but he's the only survivor. He's the only one left to tell the tale while everybody from Nativz is alive. And what is also alive is the Baron on the map, which Nativz are going to go and take. Their health bars are rather low, but they have Relive, they have Yoko, so they have a lot of damage. So most probably it's going to take, it's just going to happen, you know?
Yeah, they do not care. You know, Baron is going to be gone. Clocks almost dies to it, maybe for a meme. But they are going to be able to take it, no problems, no contention. Polo had to run all the way back to base, so was not able to get to the pit. They've secured a 21-minute Baron. This game is looking very, very done.
This looks like a rather quick game, to be honest, because Nativz are not kidding and they really want to finish it. And for Bastu 5, I'm not seeing the chance of getting out of this anymore, unfortunately. I want to say it, but I don't. And what happened at the Dragon Pit was just extremely unfortunate because, again, there was a window for Bastu 5 to try to do something. They decided not to use it, or maybe they just did not say it, and they decided to proceed towards the Drake, or they were not in a good situation anymore because there was all the prior for Nativz. They were in a comfortable position. They managed to break completely the formation of Bastu 5 and destroy them one by one. Very, very unfortunate game for Bastu 5. Very unfortunate one to start the Aurora Cup.
Indeed, but it's not over just yet. You know, we still have a game left.
Yes.
However, it does look unlikely that we're going to see anyone return into this one. And we also have to say, the analyst desk did warn people about this. You know, I believe it was Duckling, maybe it was Tonkick, who said that actually Nativz are potentially one that you have to really think about could win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, again, after relegations, I am not surprised. I can say it.
Lindorf, if he had hit that second Darkin Blade, it would have been goodbye to bye.
Nativz, look at them. They have the buff. Everybody has a buff, and now they're sieging the base. They want to take the turrets. I mean,
no,
what?
no. Oh,
the shield.
Oh, Defy almost going down in their own base, and it is just raining and raining damage from Nativz. The towers are going to be falling down real soon. If they just close this one out in the mid lane, they've taken the inhib tower, they're looking for the inhib, and they just have so much pressure.
They want the open ult inhibitors, and here Bastu 5 are at the position where if they lose a team fight, this is game over. If they lose, what, 2-3 people, game over. And Nativz know it. That's why look at how they're positioning themselves. They're not just taking the turrets. They're looking for a chance to go in and finish it.
Goodbye! Tobias is gone already. The Draven doing too much damage. Hostile takeover comes through, but it's not even going to really make a difference DP comes out from Lundorf. They've taken one in him. They're looking for the second. They may even look for the third, or they may just go for the end of the game. Right now, they are
Yeah.
looking so dominant.
Oh, absolutely. They have this game. They're here to prove a point, and they apparently have proven it.
Oh, the
he's
Draven with the
dominating.
cleanse. He just takes him down, axe after axe. Polar's going to walk forward, but he's just going to be sent back home. And they are going to give another tower kill, another champion kill, and it is all Nativz all the way in game 1 today.
What a way to open the series. We have Nativz 12-4 with a very, very quick game. Wait, what is it? 24 minutes and 24 seconds, and we finished the first one, and it was so quick that I even forgot about my swag. I'm so sorry, my friend, to real. I'm so sorry.
No, it's because the shade is just it's too hard. You know, we
Yeah.
can't shade. We have to wear the shades instead. It's a sunny day if you're native. The sky is blue. There is nice weather. It's warm. No rain, no clouds, no winter, because you're coming through with a blessed win in game 1. And Solari, we saw a lot of Nativz before when we were on NLC. We're seeing them again. It feels like they are ready to play. They've not changed at all.
I have only one thing to tell you, Jared. I can't wait to see Nativz in Division 1 next year, because they look damn ready to show everybody that they're worth it.
No, indeed. Shout out L'Oreal, because you're worth it. That's how Nativz must feel right now. But with that being said, we are going to be going to a short break. We will be sending it back to the analyst desk after. We'll see if they can pull out the sunglasses as well. Maybe not the ducks, because, you know, you already saw those. But
Yeah.
with that being said, we'll see you in a bit.